Kang Tae-ho wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag. His small repair shop on New Busan Station was quiet today. Most people avoided coming to his corner of the station. They said he was weird because he talked to machines like they were alive. Tae-ho did not care what they thought. Machines made sense to him. People did not. The station shook suddenly. Red lights flashed in the hallway outside his shop. Tae-ho looked up from the broken coffee maker he was fixing. The station's docking alarm was going off. Something big was coming in fast. He walked to his small window and looked out at the docking bay. A ship was coming in, but it was not like any ship he had ever seen. It was long and smooth, like it was made of crystal and metal mixed together. Blue and silver light ran along its sides in patterns that looked almost alive. But something was very wrong. The ship was smoking and sparking. Parts of it looked burned and broken. The ship crashed into the docking bay with a loud bang. Tae-ho winced as he watched it slide across the metal floor before finally stopping. Steam and strange-colored smoke came out of holes in its side. Whatever that ship was, it was in bad shape. Tae-ho grabbed his tool bag and ran toward the docking bay. Other people were already there, standing far back and looking scared. Station security was putting up barriers to keep everyone away. "Stay back," shouted Captain Park, the station's security chief. "We don't know what kind of aliens these are." But Tae-ho was not listening. He was looking at the ship. Even broken, it was the most beautiful machine he had ever seen. The way the metal curved and flowed looked more like art than engineering. He had to see how it worked. A door opened on the side of the ship. 3 figures stepped out. Tae-ho's mouth fell open. They were definitely aliens, but they looked almost human. They were tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered like it had tiny stars under it. Their hair looked like liquid silver, and their eyes were larger than human eyes. The first alien was the tallest. She wore what looked like a captain's uniform, made of the same crystal metal as the ship. She looked around the docking bay with sharp, intelligent eyes. Behind her came another alien with strange metal parts attached to her arms and head. The third alien was younger looking and kept staring at everything with wide, curious eyes. The captain alien stepped forward. When she spoke, her voice was musical, but sad. "Please, we need help. Our ship is dying." Captain Park stepped forward with his weapon ready. "State your business here, aliens." The alien captain raised her hands to show she was not dangerous. "I am Captain Naravel of the Lyrian ship Starweaver. This is my engineer Kirasol and our navigator Zeta-Rin. We are carrying medical supplies to our homeworld, but our ship's core is failing. We will die if we cannot repair it." Other mechanics from the station came forward to look at the ship. Old Han shook his head after just a few minutes. "Can't fix this," he said. "It's not even real metal. It's some kind of biotech. Way too advanced for us." Young mechanic Cho tried next. He came back out of the ship looking confused and scared. "The whole thing is like it's alive," he said. "The walls are warm and they pulse like a heartbeat. I don't understand any of it." One by one, every mechanic on the station tried to help. They all came back saying the same thing. The ship was too alien, too advanced, too different from human technology. No one could fix it. Naravel's face grew more worried with each failed attempt. "Please," she said to Captain Park, "our people are dying. These medical supplies are the only hope for thousands of lives." Kirasol, the engineer alien, spoke up. "Our ship is not just a machine. It is grown, not built. It has organic and mechanical parts working together. Your people do not understand biomechanical fusion." Tae-ho had been watching and listening from behind the crowd. He could not stop staring at the ship. Even broken, he could see how elegant it was. The way the different parts connected, the flow of the design, the harmony between the organic and metal parts. It was like a puzzle that he desperately wanted to solve. "I'll try," Tae-ho said, stepping forward. Everyone turned to look at him. Captain Park frowned. "Tae-ho, if these experienced mechanics can't fix it, what makes you think you can?" Old Han laughed. "Kid, this isn't a broken refrigerator. This is alien technology beyond anything we understand." But Naravel was looking at Tae-ho with new interest. Something about the way he stared at her ship was different from the others. Where they looked confused and afraid, he looked fascinated and determined. "You are different from the others," she said to Tejo. "What makes you think you can help us?" Tejo walked closer to the ship. He put his hand on its hull and felt warmth under his palm. The metal seemed to pulse gently, like it really was alive. "I don't know if I can fix it," he said honestly. "But I'd like to try. Machines talk to me, even when they're broken. Maybe this one will too." Kirasol tilted her head, studying Tejo. "You speak of machines as if they are living beings. Aren't they?" Tejo asked. "Everything that works has a kind of life in it. You just have to know how to listen." The three alien women exchanged looks. Zetarin, the young navigator, suddenly gasped. "Captain, I can sense something from him. He has an unusual connection to mechanical things. It's like he can feel what they feel." Naravel made a decision. "Very well, Kang Tejo of New Busan Station. We accept your offer to help. But you must understand, if you cannot repair our ship, many of my people will die waiting for these medical supplies." Tejo nodded seriously. "I understand. Can I see inside your ship?" As they walked toward the ship's entrance, Captain Park called out, "Tejo, be careful. We don't know anything about these aliens or their technology." But Tejo was already following the alien women into their ship, his mind racing with possibilities. He had never backed down from a mechanical challenge before. He was not about to start now, even if this challenge was literally out of this world. The ship's interior was unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls curved and flowed like they had grown naturally. Soft light pulsed through veins in the ceiling. Everything hummed with a quiet energy that felt almost like a sleeping heartbeat. For the first time in years, Tejo felt truly excited about a repair job. Tejo followed the three alien women deeper into their ship. The inside was even more amazing than the outside. The hallways curved like tunnels in a living tree. The walls were warm to the touch and had a soft glow that came from inside the material itself. Strange symbols flowed across panels like water made of light. "This is incredible," Tejo whispered, running his hand along a wall. He could feel a gentle vibration like the ship was breathing. Kirasol watched him carefully. "You are not afraid like the others were." "Why would I be afraid?" Tejo asked. "This is the most beautiful machine I've ever seen." "How does it work?" Naravel led them to a large room in the center of the ship. In the middle was a sphere about the size of a person, made of the same crystal metal as the ship's hull. But this sphere was dim and flickering. Dark veins ran through it like cracks in glass. "This is our quantum core," Naravel explained. "It powers everything on the ship, but as you can see, it is dying." Tejo walked around the sphere, studying it from every angle. He had never seen anything like it before. Human ship cores were all metal and wires and nuclear reactions. This looked more like a giant heart than an engine. "The other mechanics tried to fix it with your human tools," Kirasol said sadly, "but they did not understand. Our ships are not built like yours. They are grown." "Grown?" Tejo asked, looking up from the core. Zetarin stepped forward, her large eyes bright with excitement. "Yes, our ships start as seeds. We plant them in biomechanical gardens and they grow over many years. The organic parts and the mechanical parts become one living system." Tejo's mind raced as he tried to understand. "So this ship is alive?" "In a way, yes," Naravel said. "The ship has a consciousness. It thinks and feels. When it is hurt, it suffers. When it is healthy, it is happy. The core you see here is like its heart and brain combined." Tejo knelt down next to the core and placed both hands on its surface. The moment his skin touched the crystal metal, he gasped. He could feel something. It was weak and fading, but it was definitely there. The ship was in pain. "Can you sense it?" Zetarin asked, amazed. "The ship's distress?" "Yes," Tejo said quietly. "It hurts. Something is wrong with the connection between the organic and mechanical parts." They're fighting each other instead of working together. The three Lyrian women stared at him in shock. Kirasol stepped closer. How can you know this? Even we cannot sense the ship's condition so clearly. Without special equipment, Teho did not know how to explain it. Ever since he was a child, he had been able to feel when machines were working well or when they were struggling. With human machines, it was like listening to music and knowing when a note was wrong. With this alien ship, the feeling was much stronger. I don't know how I know, he said honestly. I just do. The question is, how do I fix it? Naravel looked at her engineer. Kirasol, show him what the other mechanics tried. Kirasol led Taiho to a panel that had been torn open. Inside, human wires and circuit boards had been jammed between organic tubes and biomechanical fibers. It looked like someone had tried to perform surgery with a hammer. They tried to replace the damaged biocomponents with your human electronics, Kirasol explained. But the ship rejected them. The organic parts do not recognize human technology as compatible. Teho studied the mess. He could see what the other mechanics had been trying to do, but they had approached it all wrong. They had tried to force human technology into alien systems without understanding how either one really worked. What if we don't replace the biocomponents, he asked. What if we help them heal instead? The damaged parts cannot heal on their own, Naravel said. That is why we need the mechanical components to support them. Teho nodded, then started digging through his tool bag. He pulled out various pieces of human technology, some circuit boards, power cells, fiber optic cables, and a few other components he had been saving for spare parts. What if we make the human technology look like biotechnology to the ship? He asked. Instead of forcing them to work together, we trick them into thinking they belong together. Kirasol frowned. How would you do that? Teho picked up one of the organic tubes that had been damaged. It was warm and soft, more like living tissue than machinery. Then he took a fiber optic cable and carefully wrapped it in a thin layer of the biomaterial he scraped from another part. The ship's organic parts communicate through bioelectrical signals, right? He asked. Kirasol nodded. Human fiber optics carry light signals. If I wrap the fiber optic in biomaterial and tune the light frequency to match the ship's bioelectrical patterns, maybe the organic parts will accept it as one of their own. The three aliens stared at him. That is very creative, Naravel said slowly. But how do you know what frequency to use? Teho placed his hand back on the core. He closed his eyes and concentrated on what he was feeling. The ship's pain came through clearly, but underneath it he could sense something else. A rhythm like a heartbeat, but made of energy instead of blood. I can feel it, he said. The ship's natural frequency. It's like a song that's playing too, quietly. For the next several hours, Teho worked carefully to create hybrid components. He took human electronics and covered them with biomaterial from the ship. He programmed human computers to pulse in rhythm with the ship's natural frequency. He connected human power cells to organic energy channels using techniques he invented on the spot. The three Lyrian women watched in fascination as Teho worked. They had never seen anyone approach their technology this way before. Where Lyrian engineers worked with biological harmony and human engineers worked with mechanical precision, Teho was doing something completely different. He was making the two different approaches talk to each other. Your species is very strange, Zetarin said as she watched him solder a human circuit board directly to an organic neural pathway. You make things work that should not work. That's what humans do best, Teho said with a smile. We're too stubborn to accept that things are impossible. As he worked, the ship began to respond. The lights grew a little brighter. The walls felt warmer. The core's flickering became more steady. It's working, Kirasol whispered in amazement. The ship is accepting the hybrid components. But Teho was not finished yet. The ship was improving, but it was still in pain. Something deeper was wrong, something that simple component replacement could not fix. I need to go deeper, he told Naravel. I need to understand how the ship's consciousness works. Can you help me connect directly to its mind? Naravel looked worried. That is very dangerous for a non-Lyrian. Our neural interfaces are designed for our biology. It could hurt you, or worse. Taeho looked at the core, feeling its continued distress. If I don't try, will the ship die? Yes, she said quietly. Then I have to try. Taeho stood up and faced the three alien women. Will you help me save your ship? Naravel looked at Taeho with worry in her eyes. Connecting a human mind to our ship's consciousness has never been tried before. We do not know what will happen to you. But you can do it? Taeho asked. Kirasol nodded slowly. We have neural interface technology, but it was designed for Lyrian minds, not human ones. Your brain works differently than ours. Taeho thought about this for a moment. He looked at the flickering core and felt its pain getting worse. Time was running out. What if we modify the interface, make it work for human brains? How? Zetarin asked. Taeho was already pulling parts out of his tool bag. I've got some human neural interface components here. I was working on a project to let people control machines with their thoughts. If we combine your bio-neural technology with my human electronics, he started working immediately, connecting human brain scan equipment to Lyrian bio-neural cables. The aliens watched in amazement as he created another hybrid system, this one designed to let a human mind safely connect to their ship. This is incredible, Kirasol said, studying his work. You are combining technologies that should not be able to work together. Should not and cannot are different things, Taeho said as he calibrated the interface. Humans are good at making should not into can do. After 2 hours of careful work, the hybrid neural interface was ready. It looked like a crown made of crystal fibers and human electronics. Soft biolight pulsed through the connections. Are you sure about this? Naravel asked as Taeho prepared to put on the interface. No, he said honestly. But the ship is dying, and your people need those medical supplies. Someone has to try. He placed the interface on his head. Immediately, he felt a strange tingling sensation as the bio-neural connections activated. Then the world around him changed completely. Suddenly, Taeho was not just in the ship. He was the ship. He could feel every corridor like they were his, arteries. Every room was like an organ in his body. The damaged core was like a heart that was struggling to beat. But more than that, he could feel the ship's personality. It was old and wise and tired. It had carried many crews across the galaxy, always doing its best to keep them safe. Now it was failing. And it was afraid. Not afraid of dying, but afraid of letting down the people who depended on it. I'm here, Taeho said, though he was not sure if he spoke out loud or just thought it. Let me help you. The ship's consciousness touched his mind gently. It was surprised to find a human connected to it, but also grateful. Through their connection, Taeho could see exactly what was wrong. The ship had been damaged in a space storm. The damage was not just physical. It had disrupted the delicate balance between the organic and mechanical systems. The organic parts were trying to heal themselves, but the mechanical parts kept interfering. The mechanical parts were trying to compensate for the organic damage, but they were causing more problems. It was like two people trying to help each other walk, but stepping on each other's feet instead. I see the problem, Taeho said. Through the neural link, he began to understand how Lyrian biomechanical systems really worked. They were based on cooperation and harmony. Everything worked together smoothly, like a perfect orchestra. But Taeho realized that sometimes harmony was not enough. Sometimes you needed a little chaos to shake things up and find a new way forward. Trust me, he told the ship. I'm going to do something that might feel strange. Instead of trying to restore the original harmony, Taeho began to introduce controlled disruptions. He used his hybrid components not just to replace damaged parts, but to create new pathways between the organic and mechanical systems. Where Lyrian technology flowed smoothly, Taeho added human-style redundancy and backup systems. Where human technology was rigid and predictable, he added bioadaptive flexibility. He created systems that could switch between biological and mechanical operation depending on what was needed. The ship was confused at first. This was not how Lyrian engineering worked. But as the new hybrid systems came online, something amazing happened. The ship began to heal faster than it ever had before. Impossible, he heard Kirasol whisper in the real world. The core readings are off the charts. It's not just healing, it's improving. Through the neural link, Tejo could feel the ship's amazement. The hybrid systems were not just fixing the damage, they were making the ship stronger and more flexible than it had been before. How are you doing this? The ship asked him through their mental connection. Human engineering philosophy, Tejo explained. We don't just try to make things work perfectly. We try to make them work even when things go wrong. We build systems that can adapt and change and find new solutions. The ship began to understand. Lyrian biotechnology was elegant and efficient, but it required everything to work in perfect harmony. Human technology was messier and more complicated, but it could handle problems and unexpected situations better. By combining both approaches, Tejo was creating something new, technology that had the elegance of Lyrian bioengineering and the adaptability of human mechanical engineering. This is remarkable, the ship said. I feel stronger than I have in centuries. But the effort was taking its toll on Tejo. Maintaining the neural link and coordinating all the repairs was exhausting. His head was pounding, and he could feel his human mind struggling to process all the alien information. Tejo, your vital signs are dropping, he heard Naravel say urgently. You need to disconnect. Not yet, Tejo said through gritted teeth. Almost finished. He pushed himself to complete the last connections. The ship's core blazed with new light as the final hybrid systems came online. Throughout the ship, damaged biomechanical components began to heal and strengthen. It is done, the ship said with joy. I am whole again. Thank you, human friend. Tejo smiled and began to disconnect from the neural link. But as he did, he felt the ship give him something, a gift of understanding. Suddenly, he knew how Lyrian biotechnology worked at the deepest level. The ship had shared its knowledge with him. The neural interface powered down, and Tejo collapsed into a chair, exhausted but triumphant. The three Lyrian women were staring at him with expressions of awe and disbelief. The core is stable, Kirasol reported, checking her instruments. More than stable. It's operating at 150% of normal efficiency. How is that possible? Naravel asked. Tejo looked up at them with tired but happy eyes. Humans and Lyrians think about technology differently, but different doesn't mean one is better than the other. It means that when you combine them, you get something better than either one alone. Zeta Rin was scanning the ship's systems with wonder. The hybrid components are continuing to evolve and improve themselves. They're creating new efficiencies we never thought possible. We need to test the ship, Naravel said. If it truly works, we can deliver the medical supplies to our homeworld. As they prepared for the test flight, Tejo felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had not just fixed the ship. He had helped create something entirely new. And somehow, he knew this was just the beginning. The test flight was unlike anything Tejo had ever experienced. As the ship lifted off from New Busan Station, he could feel it humming with new energy. The hybrid systems he had created were working perfectly, and the ship was responding faster and smoother than ever before. All systems are operating beyond normal parameters, Kirasol reported from her station. The quantum core is stable and the hybrid components are actually improving the ship's performance. Naravel turned to look at Tejo, who was sitting in a special chair they had made for him on the bridge. Your repairs have done more than save our ship. You have made it better than it was when it was first grown. But as they flew through space, something strange began to happen. The hybrid systems that Tejo had created started to change and grow on their own. New connections formed between the biomechanical and human components. The ship was evolving. Captain, Zeta Rin called out excitedly. You need to see this. The ship is creating new neural pathways. It's developing capabilities we never programmed into it. Tejo watched in amazement as displays showed the ship's internal structure changing in real time. The hybrid technology was not just working. It was learning and adapting, creating solutions to problems that did not even exist yet. How is this possible? He asked. It should not be, Kirasol said, her voice full of wonder. But somehow, the combination of our biotechnology and your human engineering has created something that can think and improve itself. As news of the successful repair spread through both human and Lyrian communication networks, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Human engineers demanded to know how Taiho had accomplished the impossible. Lyrian scientists wanted to study the hybrid technology he had created, but it was a message from the Lyrian homeworld that changed everything. "Captain Naravel," came a voice over the ship's communication system. "This is High Counselor Vera Lynn of the Lyrian Medical Council. We have received reports of your ship's miraculous repair. Is it true that a human engineer has created hybrid biomechanical technology?" "It is true, High Counselor," Naravel replied. "The human Kang Taeho has not only repaired our ship, but improved it beyond our original specifications." There was a long pause before the High Counselor spoke again. "Captain, we need you to return to our homeworld immediately. The situation here has become critical." "What do you mean?" Naravel asked, though Taiho could see the worry in her eyes. "The plague affecting our biomechanical systems has spread faster than we anticipated. It is not just affecting our technology. It is attacking the biomechanical components that our entire civilization depends on. Our cities, our transport systems, our life support networks. Everything is failing." Taeho felt his heart sink. "How long do they have?" "Weeks, maybe less," the High Counselor said. "We have tried everything we know to stop the plague, but it adapts faster than we can create defenses. However, if the reports about your hybrid technology are accurate, it might be the key to saving our entire species." Kirasol looked at Taeho with new understanding. "The plague attacks the connection between organic and mechanical components. But your hybrid systems work differently. They might be immune to the plague because they use human technological principles as well as Lyrian ones." "You mean the chaos and redundancy I built into the systems?" Taeho asked. "Exactly," she said. "The plague succeeds by disrupting the harmony between bio and mechanical parts. But your systems do not depend on perfect harmony. They can function even when parts of them are not working correctly." Naravel made a decision. "We will return to our homeworld immediately. Taeho, will you come with us? Your knowledge might be the only hope for saving billions of lives." Taeho did not hesitate. "Of course, but I'll need access to your medical and engineering data to understand how the plague works." As they traveled toward the Lyrian homeworld, Taeho worked day and night to understand the technological plague. The Lyrians shared everything they knew with him. Centuries of biomechanical engineering knowledge, detailed studies of the plague, and desperate attempts to find a cure. What he learned was troubling. The plague was not a natural phenomenon. It was an artificial virus designed specifically to attack Lyrian biomechanical systems. Someone had created it as a weapon. "Who would do such a thing?" Taeho asked as he studied the plague data. "We do not know," Naravel said sadly. "We have many enemies in the galaxy. Some species fear our biomechanical technology. Others are jealous of what we have achieved. But Taeho was more interested in how the plague worked than who had created it. He could see that it was brilliant and evil at the same time. It attacked the very foundation of Lyrian technology, the harmony between organic and mechanical systems. "It's like a virus that makes your immune system attack your own body," he explained to the three women. "It turns the biomechanical systems against each other instead of working together." "Can you stop it?" Zeta Rin asked. Taeho was quiet for a long time, thinking. "Maybe. The plague is designed to attack Lyrian biomechanical harmony, but it might not know how to handle hybrid systems that use human chaos engineering principles." "What do you mean?" Kirasol asked. "Human systems are designed to work even when parts of them fail," Taeho explained. "We build in redundancy and backup systems and alternative pathways. If I can create hybrid biomechanical systems that incorporate these principles, they might be able to resist the plague." As they approached the Lyrian homeworld, Taeho could see the extent of the disaster. The planet's biomechanical cities were dark and failing. The elegant living architecture that had taken centuries to grow was dying. My people are evacuating to emergency shelters, Naravel said with tears in her eyes. But even those are failing as the plague spreads. Tejo put a hand on her shoulder. We'll stop this, I promise. But as their ship entered the planet's atmosphere, Tejo realized the true scale of what he was facing. He was one human engineer trying to save an entire civilization. The weight of billions of lives rested on his ability to create a cure for a plague that had defeated the best Lyrian scientists. As they landed at the capital city's medical center, Tejo took a deep breath and prepared to face the biggest challenge of his life. He had fixed one ship. Now he had to fix an entire world. Ready? Naravel asked as the ship's door opened. Tejo picked up his tool bag and smiled grimly. Let's go save your people. Outside, a crowd of Lyrian scientists and medical personnel were waiting for them. At their head was an elderly Lyrian woman with kind eyes and an air of great authority. You must be Kang Tejo, she said. I am Hai, Counselor Vera Lin. Welcome to our dying world. We hope you can help us bring it back to life. The Lyrian capital city was both beautiful and heartbreaking. Tejo could see what it had once been, towers that grew like living trees, bridges that curved like flower stems, buildings that breathed with their own life. But now, dark veins ran through everything like a disease, and much of the biomechanical architecture was dim and dying. High Counselor Vera Lin led them through the medical center, explaining the situation as they walked. The plague has spread to 85% of our planetary infrastructure. Our biomechanical life support systems are failing. We estimate we have perhaps 2 weeks before complete system collapse. Tejo studied the infected biomechanical systems as they passed. He could see how the plague worked. It was like a computer virus, but one that attacked living tissue as well as mechanical components. It turned the elegant cooperation between organic and artificial parts into destructive conflict. Have you tried isolating the infected systems? He asked. Yes, but the plague adapts too quickly, said Dr. Mirasen, the chief medical researcher. Every treatment we develop, it finds a way around within hours. Tejo nodded, understanding the problem. It's designed to attack Lyrian biomechanical, harmony specifically. But what if we give it something it doesn't know how to attack? They reached the main laboratory, where dozens of Lyrian scientists were working desperately to find a cure. Tejo was amazed by their technology. Biomechanical computers that grew like coral, diagnostic equipment that looked more like garden tools than medical instruments. Show me your most recent attempts to stop the plague, Tejo said. For the next several hours, the Lyrian scientists explained everything they had tried. They had attempted to strengthen the biomechanical bonds, create immune responses, isolate infected areas, and even develop new types of biomechanical components. Nothing had worked for more than a few hours. You're all thinking like Lyrians, Tejo finally said. You're trying to restore harmony and balance, but this plague is specifically designed to destroy harmony. What if instead of fighting it with harmony, we fight it with controlled chaos? Dr. Mirasen looked confused. What do you mean? Tejo started sketching on a bio-display, showing his hybrid engineering concepts. Human technology doesn't depend on perfect harmony. We build systems that can function even when parts of them are broken or conflicted. If we create biomechanical immune systems based on human engineering principles, they might be able to resist the plague. But how would that work? Asked Dr. Kelsmore, a younger scientist. Like this, Tejo said, pulling out components from his tool bag. Instead of one perfectly balanced biomechanical system, we create multiple redundant systems that can take over for each other. When the plague attacks one pathway, the others adapt and compensate. Working alongside the Lyrian scientists, Tejo began to develop hybrid biomechanical immune systems. He combined Lyrian organic computing with human redundancy algorithms. He created biomechanical antibodies that used human-style chaos mathematics to stay ahead of the plague's adaptations. The work was exhausting and dangerous. Several times, Tejo had to connect directly to infected biomechanical systems to understand how the plague was spreading. Each time, Naravel, Kirasol, and Zetarin stayed by his side, helping him maintain the neural connection safely. After 3 days of intense work, they had their first success. A small biomechanical garden that had been infected with the plague was treated with Taeho's hybrid immune system. The plague stopped spreading and began to retreat. "It's working," Dr. Mirasan announced excitedly. The hybrid immune system is actually forcing the plague out of the biomechanical components. But Taeho knew that treating one small garden was very different from curing an entire planet. They needed to scale up the solution and distribute it to millions of infected systems across the world. "We need to modify your planetary biomechanical network," he told High Counselor Vera Lynn. "Instead of one unified system, we need to create multiple redundant networks that can support each other. That would require rebuilding our entire technological infrastructure," she said with concern. "Not rebuilding," Taeho corrected. "Upgrading. The hybrid systems will be more powerful and flexible than what you have now." Working with teams of Lyrian engineers and scientists, Taeho spent the next week developing and implementing hybrid biomechanical systems across the planet. It was the largest engineering project he had ever been part of, involving millions of components and thousands of skilled workers. The results exceeded everyone's expectations. Not only did the hybrid systems resist the plague, they began to actively hunt it down and eliminate it. Within 10 days, the plague was completely eradicated from the Lyrian homeworld. But the benefits went far beyond just stopping the plague. The hybrid biomechanical systems were more efficient, more adaptable, and more powerful than the original Lyrian technology. Cities that had been failing began to flourish with new capabilities. "This is remarkable," High Counselor Vera Lynn said as they toured the restored capital city. "You have not just saved our civilization, you have advanced it by centuries." The Lyrian High Council called a special session to honor Taeho's contributions. When he entered the Great Council chamber, he was amazed to see thousands of Lyrians gathered to thank him. "Kang Taeho of Earth," High Counselor Vera Lynn announced, "you came to us as a simple mechanic helping to repair one damaged ship. But you have given us far more than we ever imagined possible." She gestured to a display showing the hybrid technology spreading to other Lyrian worlds. "Your hybrid biomechanical engineering principles are being adopted throughout our civilization. You have created a new branch of science that will benefit both our species for generations to come." But the real surprise came next. "The Lyrian High Council has voted unanimously to offer you a position that has never existed before," she continued. "We invite you to become the first human Lyrian hybrid technology coordinator. You would work with both our species to develop new technologies and foster cooperation between our civilizations." Taeho was speechless. When he had first agreed to look at Naravel's damaged ship, he had never imagined it would lead to this. Furthermore, High Counselor Vera Lynn continued, "We are proposing a formal technological alliance between the Lyrian collective and humanity. Your people's engineering philosophy and our biomechanical knowledge working together could revolutionize both our civilizations." Naravel stepped forward with a smile. "And we hope you will accept our offer to establish the first human Lyrian hybrid technology institute here on our homeworld. You would lead research teams from both species in developing new technologies." Taeho looked around at the thousands of Lyrian faces looking at him with gratitude and hope. Then he looked at Naravel, Kirasol, and Zeta Rin, who had become not just colleagues but true friends. "I accept," he said simply. The great hall erupted in celebration. As Taeho was surrounded by cheering Lyrians, he thought about how much his life had changed. A few weeks ago, he had been a lonely mechanic on a remote space station. Now he was pioneering a new field of science and helping to build bridges between two civilizations. Later, as he stood with his 3 Lyrian friends looking out at the restored city, Naravel put a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you," she said, "for everything." "Thank you for trusting me with your ship," Taeho replied. "I never expected that fixing one broken machine would lead to all this." Kirasol laughed. "You did not just fix our ship, Taeho. You fixed our entire world. And you gave us something we never had before. The knowledge that different approaches to technology can work together to create something better than either one alone." Zeta Rin smiled. Plus, now we get to keep working together. The Institute will need all of us to make it successful. As they watched the sun set over the restored biomechanical city, its living towers glowing with healthy hybrid light, Tejo felt truly happy for the first time in years. He had found his purpose, his people, and his place in the galaxy. The simple repair job had indeed brought an unexpected reward, not just recognition or technology or career advancement, but a new family among the stars and the chance to help shape the future of two civilizations working together. Tomorrow, he would begin building the Hybrid Technology Institute. But tonight, he was content to enjoy this moment with his friends, watching a world he had helped save come back to life.